Okay, and we back, y'all. It's still Ace Boogie in the Fields of Growth. And I'm kind of still back from last week, as you can tell. But since I didn't finish the primary soulmates, I just wanted to go ahead and get it out now. So while it's still fresh in my mind, but give it to y'all still next week. So this may happen again because I still want things to be continual back to back to back to back. But sometimes you have more information, or sometimes you know you're going to have things that you need to do and you need to just continue to be here. So this is kind of a pre-recorded. But just to hop right into primary soulmates. We talked about our primary soulmates the last time a little bit, couple of episodes ago when I was talking about transitional soulmates. And this is kind of, I won't say the opposite, but like the solidified version to me. So when we talk about primary soulmates, again, I said that you sometimes run into your primary soulmate first, or sometimes it's second, or sometimes, you know, it's whenever God sends them to you. But for me, I feel like I was encountered them first before I went on and experienced my life and learned things and dealt with things. But I knew when I was 15, like I knew that you meet people and you zing, like all these different things, like they really happen. And then you think like, oh, well, that could happen again, or da 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 da. But you really come to realize that some things only happen once. And some connections are only with that person. With like you just can't, or like you can't force it. You can't make it be that way. You kind of just know. But for me, if we just want to talk about what primary soulmates are, it's that person that you truly can be yourself with, that knows you're ugly, you're good, you're bad, that you've grown with, your ups, your down, but they're still like your twin flame, like that person that's kind of locked to you. And this doesn't necessarily have to just be romantically. I feel like I knew, as far as my best friend twin flame, like primary soulmate at a young age too. But just to speak on the romantic part mostly in this video, it's like one of those relationships where it's not about all of the fleshly things and all of the things that we get caught up in our human bodies. I mean, that's there too. I mean, because we're still our human selves. But with this person, your spirits just connect in a way where like you were there together before. You're tapped in together in a way where you don't have to necessarily explain, and when you do explain, everything feels transparent, and you're not necessarily trying to figure things out in a way where it's a battle. You kind of understand that you're doing this together. That person doesn't fight you on things, and if it is a fight, it's more just to better you guys, but it's such in a way that it doesn't cause any conflict. There isn't no insecurity. The insecurities are quickly put to rest. It's kind of one of those relationships that your true ride or die relationship. Your true ride or die connection, your true ride or die, like no matter how long it goes, you still know in your soul of souls, like that person is one, you're like number one people. Yeah. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, so your primary soulmates, they just simply work. Like those relationships just simply work. It really requires no work, and you can get so lost in those relationships because it just simply works. You don't really go through the struggles, and you don't really go through a lot of hard times because that person is such in a balance with you and such in a harmony with you. Like I said, sometimes your life path really line up in a way where you're like this, you're just together. And I said, like, for me, I was kind of pulled away from my primary soulmate, and it felt like it felt like it, and it felt so confusing. It felt like, um why is this happening? Why is this happening? And then with that, it was like, well, it had happened, and I'm just gonna go off and experience things and keep trying to be tethered, because you're pulled back and you feel this, but you get so lost in those new emotions and in those new experiences of life. So you're just start kind of just spin into, ooh, what is this? What is this feeling? Can I feel it with other people? Is it not this? Is it not that? But with your primary soulmate, like I said, I knew at 15. And it wasn't like, and people say like love at first sight. Like I kind of believe in that only because okay, so so I kind of I believe in that, because it's like I remember that day like it was yesterday, and it was almost 15 years ago now. I remember that day and moments so crystal clear, that just out, like, there's no other moments that I remember like that moment, our first time, like, just so many things. And not my first time, I said our first time. So it's like, it's a different, I barely remember my first time. So it's just like, but with those situations and those people, the connection and the vibe is just so, you get so lost. And we say that all the time, like, me and him would spend hours upon hours, weeks upon weeks, like we could just go off and just be together and like not do any other shit that we know that we're called to do, because we're so can get there sometimes. But at the same time, we understand each other and we love each other enough to know that I know your bigger purpose. I know that you're here for something greater, and I see that about you. But we now come back in full circle, because I went, what was it, 6 years without talking to him. And before that, it felt like 7 or 8 years, just constantly. I'm sorry if I'm doing the math wrong, but like 15 to 23, 24, almost about to be 24. And then didn't link back up to, again, 29. So you spend that whole time, a lot happens in between that time. But then when you can come back and feel like it was just a long couple months, because I feel like before then we had never gone longer than 2 months. Like, I know that for a fact, because I used to just be that, like, on it. So for years upon years, there was never a time where we went longer than 2 months talking to each other. Like, in the 2 months were like the long, like, it felt like 2 years back then, but really it was like, ain't gonna be never longer than 2 months. So then to go an entire 6 years, like, I feel like I got lost out here, because I know I did. But at the same time, we were doing that life experience with our transitional soulmates, the opposite of that, learning this life. And we had a conversation, a really, really deep conversations. We always have deep conversations, but one of the more recent ones, we had a conversations about just why we felt like we didn't have that time apart, what we did in that time apart. And one of the epiphanies for me was like, I needed to learn how to be submissive. I needed to learn how to not be so masculine and not be so headstrong and not be so, this is what I want now, I'm running on the clock, you gotta. And he learned to kind of pick it up, be more dependable or I don't want to say more dependable because he's still dependable, but yeah, go from a boy to a man type thing. Like, he really had to just go to that. And for himself at the time, I was trying to make it because I was just at that age. But I feel like if we would have maybe done that together, or maybe those people, like, we had to go to our transitional people. We had to separate and take that time. But we can talk about it now. We can talk about it so open and honest, and talk about it so open and honest in a way that I have never. I've been with plenty. He has been with plenty. We know plenty. But the connection that we share, as far as like understanding and not being judgmental, not being able to be ourselves, not feeling like that person's gonna look at you crazy or feel like they just get you. And you wanna say like that you can do that with everybody, but you can't do that with everybody. It's not, everybody's not for you, and you're not for everybody. But you have your transitional people, and then you have your primary people. And those primary people, like I said, for me, I was lucky enough to run into the hallways at 15. And when you're 15, everybody's looking at you like you have so much more life to live. But I feel like everybody who walked those halls with us at 15 knew that we knew. They knew. And even people who are looking at us now, like, they, like, yeah, it's just one of those things where you can see, and when you can see like how we think of Michelle and Barack, or not Jade and Beyonce, like when you kind of on the outside, other people know it's, you know, and the connection is there. And I'm just saying those people because it's like society, because I don't know them from a can of fucking paint, so I don't even know if they are in a transitional period. Well, I'm gonna say Michelle and Barack, they probably is not in a transitional period anymore. But I don't know other people's lives behind closed doors, but just the relationship where you can see and you know when it's authentic, because the artificially made, don't like it. That you like when it's organic, and when you can see it, and when you can like feel it, other people know too, just not just you. And that's always, I feel like, been the case for us. And even now, when we talk about things, because we're not like official or anything like that, I'm still a single person, they're still a single person, but we can understand the calling, like I said, on each other's lives, to where it's like, I know that I'm not going to be without you. I don't know what this life is going to bring, but I know I'm not going to be without you, though, because I've solidified that now. I know what that means. I know what this is. I'm not so caught up into the boxes or into the structure of what it is, but you are a soul-fated person. You are my soul-fated person. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to say that. And I say, like, my great aunt and my great uncle is the real life version of the Notebook, okay, in my life. They have had a love story so grand and so diverse and so strong that they really truly could not live without each other. They passed less than a week apart, and it was beautiful just to think and just to know that that's possible. So I always think, like, around their anniversary time, like, I pray, you know, that I'm blessed to have that, because I feel like ever since I've seen The Notebook, that was just one of those movies, like, wow, like, I want that. I want that. I don't know about y'all, but I want that. And back then, at the time when the movie came out, damn right I fucking thought it was him, and I just thought it was gonna be just like that. Like, actually not just like that. I wanted it to be like, we don't separate, we just figure it out, you come now, we're gonna go how we're, like, I wanted it to be Huxtable. I don't even know what I want. I wanted it too perfect, okay? Didn't want none of the struggle. Didn't want none of that. It was just like, well, we know what we know. So what's stopping us? But really, it was some time that we needed to grow. We needed to transition. We needed to be able to be like, there's no one else like that out there. I know, right? Like, I mean, I thought that there would be, no. There's a lot of fish in the sea, but there's only one Nemo. Okay, there's only one Nemo. So when we talk about primary soulmates, guys, it's that person that you come back to and it's home. You don't come back to because you feel like you're traumatized to them, and it's like, you know, you're going in a circle, and you know it's like, this is just toxic. Like, no, it's just toxic. But when you come back to a person and it's home, and it's a safe place, and there's no like strife anywhere, like there's no like that's the person that like your body can relax, your soul can relax. You want to get so caught up in a cloud nine that it's just like you relaxed. Not to say that you don't have problems, and not to say that your soul fated partner and your primary partner is going to have the same but as everybody else is, but there's common things. There's just common feelings, common understandings, common level of respect, level of love, level of comprehension, and wave that just there's a lock in there. Because it's like so funny because okay, I'm sorry. But I was saying it's like so funny because I remember so many different memories when it comes to him. I remember one time we were standing in his mom's kitchen and we were talking about like just we used to throw around so many hypotheticals, but we're always throwing around hypotheticals. And there was this one time where it was like we were really young. I want to say like 22, 21, 23, like towards the end, but we didn't really know it. Our little break, and I was like, well, what if, you know, like there's a kid or a husband or whoever, like we just come back, like how are we gonna deal with that? Like what if you get a kid or I get a kid, like how are we gonna deal with that? Or what if you get married, what if I get married, and how are we gonna deal with that? Okay. And we sat there and we were just like, yeah, I mean, they would just have to like, I don't know. And at the time, it was just like a hypothetical, but to know us knows that those things and those kind of things were its powerful tongues, okay? Everything is in the power of this thing right here. So, but to know that we can really do it and to really like still have that, no, like, you're definitely my person. You're definitely my person. My person, my person, my person. And no matter what this life throws at us, you're gonna be it. And y'all, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try not to really pause and take breaks. But if y'all hear a thump or y'all hear like some laughter or whatever, like I'm in the house, my sister, my daughter, I'm at the bottom. So we just not taking no excuses. Okay, we're here. So yeah, but your primary soulmate is a person that you can just, it's kind of like a really piece and part of you. And it's always going to be a piece and part of you, no matter what you do, where you go, what other thing you encounter. It's always going to be a part of you. And that part of you is going to be, it's going to be mutual. Okay, like when you have other like relationships, it's not always going to be a mutual thing. Like one person may feel safer, one person may feel this, one person may feel that, but it's more like, no, if I know I'm coming to you, it's like always a good time. It's always going to be better than any other thing I could think of. So yeah, and that's where I feel like if you're gonna get married and if you're gonna do that, that's where you should definitely be at. Not because society tells you, not because you have a kid, not because you even been with them for the longest. Like I'm saying, like time does not necessarily equate to this. I'm just one of, I feel like the lucky few who have known since I was so young. It does not happen that way for everybody, and I'm blessed to say that. To say the least. So it's like not necessarily someone that you've known for the longest or known since you were a kid. It really could just be that you'll know, like, they feel like home to me and I feel like home to them. And then our lives just line up in a way, no matter what God or what the devil or what life chance circumstance throws at us, it's still the same energy. It's still the same vibe. And if we can talk about it and we can get to it, like, we're going to work it out and we're going to love it out and we're going to figure it out as a real thing. And it's not forced. It's not like I feel like I'm obligated. It's coming from the heart. It's coming from a place because your souls really are connected. And we're not just talking about soul ties. Like, the soul ties come when you have that sexual interaction, but we're talking soul tied before you even knew that. Like, that's what I mean. Because most of the time with transitionals or other people, sex and that interaction is kind of like one of the bases that kind of keeps those relationships going, right? But when it's a primary, you can take that piece out. You can fully take that piece out and still have that person and know that that person is your this. I mean, you're gonna want that piece. You're definitely gonna want that piece. That piece is gonna be just as strong and just as whatever. But can you take that piece out and it still give you that same feeling, give you that same, like, high, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, do you feel high? Like, if you don't, then you haven't found your primary person yet. Don't settle. And damn sure don't settle. Don't settle for a transitional, or don't settle for a transitional that you're not trying to make into your primary. Don't sit here and settle for somebody that is not it. Because I'm telling you, like I said, this world where we have, and there's so many fish, find your Nemo. Like, find it. Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself a temporary or a toxic or a watered down version, because sometimes you can do that too. Like, the safer version isn't always the best version. Like, for example, for me, I would love for it to be a cookie cutter thing and be in a relationship and had everything be with my primary person, but it didn't happen like that, and it happened differently. But then after I still did not even getting back to my primary person, I went into another transitional person, but it was safer. It was real shallow. It was real like, this will work. It's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing extra great about it, but this could work if I wanted it to or made it to. That's what I was trying to do, I felt like. But at the same time, sometimes you just know. So it's like, you know what you're doing. And even if you do say it and they don't, like I said before, they don't want you to let you go. Like, sometimes you got to know for yourself, like, this ain't it. I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to, if it don't feel like a high, a natural high, if endorphins and all those things aren't going off in your mind, that ain't it, bro. And that ain't it, sis. Don't settle for Sean, okay? When you could be high with Henry, okay? Don't. I'm just trying to make it sound good, but I did that. I was like, well, it's better than like physically and emotionally and just making it work, and just it's more functional. So it's just okay, but at least there was more passion with it's just like there still was no understanding. There was still chaos. There was still there we could never, it was just never going, it was just too much. But with my primary, it's like it doesn't have to be perfect to be perfect. It's still perfect as long as we have what we have. And I had to understand that at a young age, I was trying to force that. I wasn't okay with it. I wanted things by 25. I had my way. I wasn't just trying to take God's way. But had I probably listened to God more and been patient and allowed myself to sit longer and not listen and get distracted by the next thing, I mean, I don't know. But at the same time, like I said, sometimes you need those transitional people, and you need those times in your life to really shape you. And I needed to submit. I needed to learn to submit. I needed to learn to be quiet. I needed to learn to listen. And it's like, I want to listen to him. I wanted to submit to him. I never did not want to, but I didn't understand in a way. So it probably would have been an issue, but because we had that time apart, it's like we come back in such a way. It's like there's nothing I can't talk to you about for real now. Like there's nothing I can't come to you about now. There's nothing that I can't understand, because you're like me. You're a part of me. You're really me, talking to me, getting epiphanies from me, getting understanding from me. And everybody has like I said, their person. And that's how you know when you've met your primary soulmate. And all I can say is don't settle. Like, don't settle. Because I know women out here and guys out here, it's easy. But I would say to pray about it. I was young, but I feel like at the time in my life, I was talking to God a lot back then, just in the innocence of like, I'm young, God, but I don't want to stray away from you. And in the innocence of help me going to church. And I was just a little bit more in tune and just kind of more like this. I knew myself, So I feel like God allowed me to have that interaction then. And know that my life, there was going to be better, because it was for me at the time. I was in my house, in my mind, like the escape was school, the escape was my friends, the escape was, whatever I did outside, like church and children's ministry and cheerleading and track, whatever. But I feel like that was why I was also kind of blessed to be exposed to what that feels like so young, but still know that there was some growing and some things that I needed to learn and get back to. And, well, not necessarily get back to, but just come into, because my dad used to always say, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. And I'm like, I got it. What the fuck you mean? I got it. You don't see me? And he's like, you'll get it. You'll get it. And so, like I said, now coming into 30, Lord, I'm turning back and looking. It's like, I get it. This fast. I get it. I get it. My primary soulmate. Like, all these things I used to take for granted. I get it. I get it. I got it. Woo. And now it's like walking in that, sharing this perspective, sharing what I know, sharing the knowledge, sharing just the growth, the fields of growth. So before this gets any longer, guys, this is a movement. This is a movement. Amen. Ashe.